Hey, we're live today talking a little bit about the importance of education of your clients. That's what we're talking about today. Um, I think this comes, before we talked or before we actually got on here, I actually went and looked at what our lifetime value length, how long clients have been with us, right, on average. And because we saw a few clients cancel in the last month because I believe they don't understand our strategy at the highest level. And I believe that's kind of what Brittany has identified as well. So we're going to show you something as well, but I'm first going to talk about right now, our average client retention is 35 months, 35.38 months, right? So over 2.5 years, right? Almost, 2.5 years is where we're at. Actually, that's over almost 3 years. So, pretty incredible. Especially in our industry where we see an average of 6 to 9 months of people doing that. But I just ran the numbers and did that, got that equation out. But one of the things we're always do is to try to constantly improve and do things differently and continue to do education for our clients so that our partners and our clients can be educated. Right, Brittany? Why don't you talk a little bit to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's what we do, I think, best is education. And so translating that into documents and steps that our account strategists can take has been kind of what we've worked on, because Michael and I can speak to it very well, and we speak to it in the sales process and all these things in our partner center. But we're learning that we need to translate that into our process steps or our deliverables with our clients as well. The importance of it is because it keeps your clients engaged and excited because they know what's coming. One thing I learned a long time ago was that if you don't have anything happening for your clients right now that excites them, it's going to be harder to keep them excited with that expectation with SEO, for example, for 6 to 9 months. So working on things like projects or educating them on why we're building certain things that we are will help keep them engaged a little bit more. You will also kind of have those clients that are like, I don't care how you do it, just do it and make my phone ring. So with the exception of those, I think the majority of our clients do at some level take an interest in what we're doing and how we're doing it. So, having us display that in a way that they can always reference has been what we've been working on lately.
Yeah, and just to quickly go back to that, I remember 9 years ago, I used to create one blog a month that would talk about kind of what happened in the month and what's happening in the future, right? So that it always kept people engaged in the industry or kind of what they're working on or what they're thinking about in our space so that they know it's just not the same thing over and over. Oh, hey, there's this now to talk about. Hey, there's this kind of stuff. But one of the things we changed, let me share my screen, is our reporting. Let's see if this works. I've never shared on StreamYard before. Whoa, that's cool. Okay, so I'll go here. Do you see my screen, Brittany?
Yeah, I can see it.
Great. So one of the things we have just rebuilt our reporting platform, and we have this ability to have like the SEO report, GMB report, and the rankings all and the highlights all in one area, right? The one thing Brittany came and added, why don't you talk to it since this is kind of your baby and what you've done here. It's amazing. It looks beautiful. I think it talks about things as well. So go ahead.
I mean, to be honest, it's actually pretty basic. What it is it gives, I try to think of who is the most common client we have around here, and it's the small business owner. How could we educate them at any time if, let's say, they hire someone on their side to manage their vendor or whatever it is, right? At any time, where do we put the expectations in front of them so that when they're looking at this on their own independently, because our reporting is a live link with live data, so we don't have to adjust anything other than our highlights. They can look at it any time. Where do we put the expectations that they can reference to understand if we're even on track? So at the very top of this, I gave just a standard overview, right? What are we working on? What's important? Those types of questions are answered. Then obviously what we include. we're a white label agency, so you're going to have partners there. We have partners that are going to do much more than what we have in here. This really applies to those who are following our full strategy and our full process. But we give an overview of the types of things we work on. It's a question that I do hear, or a pain point I hear in the sales process when we do get people in here is, I have no idea what they were doing. I don't know if they did these things when I ask questions. So I wanted to make sure it was visible to them, the types of tasks that we're going to be working on, so they understand. Obviously, we have our little funnel here so that they can see kind of how we
Our little funnel. This is the beautiful funnel, right? This is what I love this funnel. I think it's so great. It talks to, the top of the funnel, which is, hey, Facebook, social posting, that type of stuff is the top of funnel, right? It's trying to get some interest when people go to Facebook, not looking for your services, but to start to draw them in. SEO is the next level. AdWords more specific, and then you get your ROI. I love this funnel. I think it looks great. I think it's a nice way for people to understand kind of what we're doing in those expectations. And I think that's kind of the last area you're kind of talking to.
Right. Yeah. And that's where I think it's the most important, because we do meet with our clients on a regular basis to try and reiterate the expectations, but we have those that don't want to call, or the ones that are just quickly checking to make sure that everything's getting done. And if they have questions, they can always refer back to a timeline. If they're in month 5, what should they be seeing? What are the types of improvements they should be seeing? Obviously, this is generalizing it. Everyone's going to have their own baseline, but this little document, one, I think it makes our reporting look very polished. And the other thing is just at any time I know that this is in front of them. And I think it gives us peace of mind knowing that if our white label partner maybe didn't set those expectations, we just came around and did it for them, which is nice.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think it's here. Let me go back and share it again and make that thing happen again. Really cool. Let's go screen share. Yes. All right, here we go. Well, one thing you can see here is, like Brittany said, this is just the overall strategy, so that when our partners get questions from their clients or our clients, they can understand kind of, hey, you're 1 or 2 months in, we're waiting, we got to be here 6 to 9 months, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of how we pitch our services to really get those results and those types of things. And then, we have the Google ranking factors right here, the things that we're working on, right? This comes from the Moz report that they come out with, all the ranking factors. And then, like I said, it just kind of ties in with a key here of all the report and information that we have here. And then the GMB does kind of the same thing, right? Where we have reviews, and then our key down here explaining all of this. Then we get into our SEO tasks, the work that we're doing, our ranking report, and then, the work we did in May and April and so on and so forth. It's all in one spot. And like Brittany said, it's updated frequently, right? So I think this helps really show people the work you're doing. And the work that you're doing for your clients, and it helps set the strategy, which helps with the education. So all of that together is kind of what this purpose is.
So I think it empowers them more than anything, which is huge. I think it builds their confidence in you as an agency. You show that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. The other thing is that your deliverables translate in the same fashion. So for us, we have our deliverables that give a little synopsis or purpose as to what we're doing. Why are we doing this? One of the biggest things in our space is like the content gap analysis. That one initially was like a very broad idea, kind of repository of these keywords that maybe you weren't ranking for, but your competitor is. That's the purpose of this. It's kind of when you go past foundation and cluster and all those things that need to be in place, and now you're trying to look for new opportunities. And our clients, when we first rolled it out, were like, what is this? Like, I don't understand it. So I went back in to the template that we used to kind of carve this out, and we created a little section of education, which helps explain the purpose. And so now it's like, oh, okay, cool. My agency thinks outside the box. They're not going to just sit and do the same routine motions every time. They're actually being creative. They're trying to find new areas of opportunity for me and my business. So the more you position the education and put it in front of them in a way that you don't have to necessarily explain it, because I think, again, not every client wants a call, but it's there in case they ever have to reference it, or you ever have to put those expectations back in front of them. It's a nice way.
Yeah, it's just like documented up front. It says it right here. It's kind of like our approach to everything, where before you even purchase, there's documentation of the expectations.
Yeah.
As you purchase, there's documentation of the expectations. As you receive the email after you've purchased, There's documentation of the expectations, right? And that's why we have, like I said, those 35 months engagement of our services. People stay for a long time because of our expectations, and we set them properly. And with that, while it's not always something people want to hear, I want to rank right away, or I want traffic, I want leads right away. Cool. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer in some industries, sometimes it doesn't. And we set those expectations through that.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
Well, I think that's a good job of educating your clients and a more streamlined way of doing it. If you guys have any questions, please post a comment. Let us know. We appreciate it. Talk to you later.